like it's Matthew Armstrong on the bench too, Malcolm, for North Melbourne.
So we're about to get underway. Friday night football. Thrown up in the middle. Big jump from the big fellas in the middle. Swash attacks it hard. Keogh just shrugs off the tackle. Now tries to find some firm footing. Goes out wide to Daniels. Daniels kicks the ball back on the goal-to-goal line. Players from behind. Coughlin almost off the ground by Laley. Back towards the defensive goal. Fairley's going to be first there and concedes the first point. First score of the game to St Kilda. And already, Ian, we've seen how slippery it is underfoot.
Oh, yes, I think watching the reserves, the players, well, you've just got to get your body behind it. And there is a risk that it can slip past. And, of course, then the advantage is with the player just dwelling on it. Nathan Burke, he's not a dweller. He's a go-and-getter. Kicks in towards the full forward area. Kick forward by Beveridge across his left shoulder in the direction of Lowe. Gathered by Schwass. He's already been dumped in the mud in the centre of the ground. His kick out towards the half-back flank area, and it's a good mark taken by Blakey. And that prediction from the pre-match looks as though it may have come to fruition. John Blakey on Nicky Winmar. Blakey's kick into the centre of the ground. Terrific mark taken by McKernan from behind Vidovic. And under normal circumstances, that's a 50-metre penalty. Knocked the ball away from him after he'd been awarded the mark, but not forthcoming. McKernan's kick to centre-half forward.
Yeah, terrific chest mark there by Wayne Carey. We've seen him do this in the wet a lot. From 55 metres, goes long at the goal. Players drop back. Surely Crocker. Terrific penetrating kick there from Wayne Carey has found Darren Crocker right in the goal square. So after injury and got a series of games together, injured again and back in the side. It's always been a very, very good player. Number 27 for North Melbourne. Crocker will kick from about 12 metres and has no trouble. First goal to North.
And always looks good for North Melbourne when their big guns get the hold of the ball. McKernan's marked it. He's kicked the ball to Carey. He's marked it. And I think the critical point is that North will go long to the front of the goal square. They don't mess around, and that suits it when there's a slightly wet ball. Going to the front of the goal square, even if the ball comes to ground, there's always a dangerous spot. But Croc was able to mark it, probably knowing that Carey was going to go long, and he sets himself for the position.
How do you feel about Shanahan matching up on Carey?
He's probably the best option there, God. I mean, Shanahan tends to play on the best opposition marking play.
So the ball thrown in the air at the centre once again. Nearly gathered there by Anderson, prepared to just kick it in front of himself out of the muddy area at the centre, then missed it nearly altogether. Gathered by Keogh, he's dragged down, no free kick. Play on, says the umpire, Anthony Stevens and Joel Smith. And the ball over for a throw-in, and the bench, Armstrong, Freeborn, and that might be, is that young Simpson? The third interchange player. And the National Sportsbook odds, they always are a query as far as I'm concerned, Malcolm.
4's on North Melbourne, 5-2 St Kilda. And a terrific mark taken there by Beveridge. 60 metres from goal. Looking for Lowe. Hotly marked there by Martin. Punch comes from behind. Martin ends up with a footy. Everett puts a tackle on. Goes to ground low. The ball caught in underneath the players and a bounce in the forward pocket.
Actually, those odds that we spoke about would be formulated, bearing in mind that conditions are going to be quite firm and the players can take marks cleanly. Since the rain's come down, I bet those odds have squared away a bit.
Well, in fact, you'd have to add to that, of course, Robert Harvey not playing for St Kilda.
Yep.
Probably, arguably, their best ever player of the last 10 years. There's a free kick coming back. And it's going to St Kilda, Nicky Winmar. Take it right from the point of the square. Probably 65 metres. As we look at that free kick there, high tackle from Stevens. Drop punts the ball to a spot rather than a player, and Archer reads it beautifully, cutting across. Gives it off to the running Wayne Schwass. Schwass short, tries to be chest marked there. Dropped by the big fella, and Shanahan gets it and kicks it forward. Terrific mark from David King. And that player was Carey, of course.
Yeah, I know you looked a bit bemused because he was a long way down the ground, wasn't he, Wayne Carey? This is Blakey with the football for North Melbourne. His kick will land at half forward. It's a good kick again with lots of penetration. Gee, Crocker nearly performed a miracle. One-hander in the wet. It goes to the back to McKernan. McKernan keeps it low. It bounces to the front of the square across the face and out of bounds in the left forward pocket for North Melbourne.
Melbourne's tactics are obvious. When the ball's in St Kilda's forward line, then there was not one North player forward or centre, and really they got all the space in their forward line. and you can see that McKernan's going to go charging in there and see if he can run Vidovic off.
Did it successfully against Fremantle a couple of weeks ago, Lee.
Yep.
So the boundary throw in, Nathan Burke off the ground, gets the ball back out of the danger area temporarily. Gathered by Cripps, well tackled. Daniels gets it to Shanahan, but there's a free kick. Would that have nearly been deemed as a throw? The umpire was right on the spot. Schwass, his kick towards half forward, and Carey already with his second mark. Looking quite dangerous across that half forward line for North Melbourne. Good kick by Schwass in the conditions. Pinpoint accuracy, and Carey has the ball. He's going to have to kick it about 50 metres because Shanahan on the mark is about 45 metres from goal. But Wayne Carey, a terrific player, runs close to the man on the mark, gets reasonable distance, just not quite there. And Darryl Wakeland sees it through for a behind to North Melbourne, kicked by Wayne Carey. And those hardened Aussie rules football supporters, they just sit out here in the open at the MCG. The rain is still drizzling down, but they sit there and watch the footy, rain, hail or shine.
Peckett goes short to Winmar. Now, veteran class, Nicky, goes back into the centre of the Cripps. The only first-year player on the ground, which is surprising. Gives it back to Winmar, undecided. Now comes wide to Burke. So a couple of old heads at the back. He chips the ball up, really does set it up McKernan. Can't grab hold of it off his chest. Crocker works hard on the ground. Scott gives it to a playing teammate in more trouble. That's Scholl. He's dragged and will get the free kick. Didn't have the footy when on the ground. So Craig Scholl now goes long once again. They all lead out, then run back. Interesting ploy. Big punch down and through for behind. So North get their second. They move on to 1-2-8. St Kilda just the point.
Takes great discipline, doesn't it, with North Melbourne? They know they're going to kick the ball to the front of the goal square, but players have got to be moving to get on the end of the kick rather than just knowing it's going there and standing there waiting for it, pushing up the field or pushing wide. But they'll always direct the ball towards that front of the goal square, 10-15 metres out.
And if we didn't know which Wakeland that was on the bench, we do now, because number 15, Darryl Wakeland, is on the ground. So Shane Wakeland on the bench at this stage for St Kilda. They move the ball up towards their half-forward line. McKernan not able to control the footy, just locked up there by Anthony Rock, and the umpire will throw it in the air once again. It's about 85 to 90 metres from St Kilda's goal, and expected minimum 11 degrees at the moment at 10. So a mild evening, not all that cold, but just with that drizzling rain is making it a bit difficult. Keogh's hand pass, not bad. Kicked by Tony Brown over his right shoulder, gathered by Martin. Look at the determination on Mickey Martin's face. He bangs it back towards the wing, and that is a top effort. Could have been nearly paid to Scholl. Not so. Vidovic over the top to Shanahan. Shanahan's little kick is just a little bit too far there for Jason Daniels, who looks as though he may have the job on Anthony Rock, and it's out of bounds on centre wing.
I think Nathan Burke tried to pick up Anthony Rock, but I think Scott is actually, Robert Scott is picking up Burke, and North have got the matchup they want, I would suspect.
McKernan taps it down to the front. Burke's in best spot. McKernan does that very well. Not a bad player in the wet conditions for a big fella. Ball grabbed there by Young, kicks it up very high and just bounces inside the line. So restart and 20 seconds of, I guess, ineffective play. Coach Dennis Pagan keeping his eye on proceedings. McKernan and Everett push back. It's a nice little tap out. Carey tries to go off the ground, doesn't quite hit it right. Players pushed in under. Roberts, another quick kick that's a couple North have got to Stevens. Big gap at the back, and moving across is Vidovic. Slippery ball, just puts it on the turf, has enough time to give it off to Neal. Robbie Neal kicks the ball back in. It's a missed kick back into the centre. Bell can't get hold of it. Joel Smith caught. Breaking away is Young, very clever player, just awareness of players around him. Kicks to centre half forward. Archer runs back with the flight of the footy. Fairley stands and kicks back towards Burke and Scott. Burke first to recover. Terrific stuff from players on both sides. Ball forced forward really to Carey, met by Beveridge. Kings met, so pretty willing just on the edge of the square. And then a push from Carey, and the umpire not to pay the free.
Stan Elves, and quickly onto the phone, obviously a little displeased with what he'd seen, maybe in that passage of play or a little bit earlier. Kick forward there by Simpson. It bounces at centre-half forward. Attempted kick off the ground by Vidovic. Not all that effective, but Daniels makes sure of it and kicks it over about 50 metres from the North Melbourne goal. Jason Daniels would be classified now as a bit of a veteran of AFL football. Mark Roberts preparing to come back onto the ground. McKernan and Vidovic. North Melbourne lead by 7 points. McKernan to the back. No one in particular. Vidovic attempted hack off the ground. Then a left-hand hand pass. Robert Neal's big punch close to the line. Peckett probably would be fairly relieved. In front of Darren Crocker, it goes over for another throw-in. The players at right half forward for North Melbourne. North Melbourne lead 1-2. St Kilda 1 point. North won the reserves easily by 64 points. They kick 17-12 to 6-14. Beveridge taken down to the ground by his teammate there. Vidovic strong. Neal out to Peckett. Run down by Stevens. Nearly dedacked. In goes Crocker. Crocker's kick has been well marked. Very well marked by Archer. He's an important player for North Melbourne as Glenn Archer.
Yes, most improved player. Goes in towards McKernan. Ball sits all right for him. Gives it off to Laidley. Throws it onto his left boot. Over the back. Falls nicely for Stevens. Can't get hold of it. Carey and Shanahan. What a battle. Both players at it. Shanahan goes from 40 metres out and kicks behind for North Melbourne. 1-3. Just to 1 point.
What would that be if Mike Sheehan was here? That's a three, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a three, yeah. I mean, it's risky, isn't it? I mean, the ball can get stuck. There is a bit of mud there. It's a long way out to kick a point from there.
Robert Neal marks the kick in the left back pocket. His kick goes out towards the wing. It rebounds. King to Rock. In towards full forward Stevens. That's Mark Stevens, who has been in the reserves for quite a while, having a lot of trouble breaking into this North Melbourne side, but he gets his chance tonight. He has the football. He's about 45 metres from goal. So again, it'll take a good kick to score. Runs in and gets hold of it. Kicks the distance. But just offline and through for another behind to the Kangaroos.
Very much a one-on-one game, I would think. There's a lot of just individual matchups, and I think some initiated by North, some by St Kilda, and they're just going to follow their opponents all over the ground. I think we see one. Cripps and Schwass, I think, is one such matchup.
Winmar takes the kick off. Ball almost gets to centre wing. Laidley gives it off to Schwass. Wants runners towards the goal square. Kicks it back about 30 metres from goal. Up in front was Crocker. Falls to Rock. Quick snap from Rock around the shoulder. That's a great kick. North have got their second.
And they're talking about those matchups. Young Rock is actually manned up by Jason Daniels. It's quite an unusual sort of matchup, though, although I think he's gone into the forward line and he may be picked up by Peckett. But North just keep bombing the ball to that spot 20 or 30 metres out. It's a very disciplined part of their play, and if they don't mark it, at least the ground level players know exactly where it's going. And Rock got to that percentage position at the front of the pack and was able to kick a good snap goal.
Anthony Rock has kicked his 13th goal for the season. So he's nearly up to a goal a game. Fairly important stat as far as North Melbourne are concerned. They're smaller players on the forward line. Do need to kick goals. Everett now into the ruck. Ooh, down goes Keogh. The bump from Fairley was good. Roberts tries to flick it back. King into the path of Anderson. He's dispossessed there by Smith. It rebounds back to Fairley. Fairley's kick bounces in a vacant half-forward area. In comes Carey. Can he control it? Shanahan's there to make it difficult for him. But he gets back onto his right foot and then gets rid of Shanahan. Gee, skillful for a big man, isn't he? 6'4", and the way he just danced around his opponent there was quite classical. McKernan onto his left, then onto his right. Well done. Got onto his natural kicking foot. Goes back towards Rock. Rock's kick will bounce. Close to the goal line. Back goes Winmar. He's prepared to give away a behind. So their third rush behind from probably St Kilda players playing a little bit safe. 2-5 to a point.
designated kicker, Justin Peckett. Looking at his opportunities as St Kilda under a fair bit of pressure from the back line here. That
North playing man-to-man, Malcolm, rather than a zone to defend the kick-in.
Yes, you'd think the huddle will be on shortly, Lee, won't they, when they'll spread. Terrific mark from Tony Brown. Wonderful mark going back. Gives it off to Young. Very evasive player. Uses the ball well and has this time to Stewie Lowe. Right up on centre wing. Trying to come up and get a kick. Chips the ball. Sits on Burke's head. Scott's there. Falls to Archer. Just crashes his way through. Peckett picks it up beautifully in the conditions. Stolen away by King. This is when North, they're dangerous if they can get the ball forward. They can't this time. Back to Young. And Young goes wide towards Cripps. Schwash into his back. And a free kick paid. Or is it out of bounds? No, a free kick. So Wayne Schwash puts his hand up. And the youngster, Jason Cripps. 65 metres. Goes to the front of the square. Everett from behind. Fairley does well. Gets the ball to ground. Tony Brown in underneath like all good little players should. Archer, just get it and then hacks the ball away to the boundary line and out of bounds.
It's a critical point. If you're going to have a quick kick out of defence, make sure it goes out wide. Never a quick blind kick back down the middle.
Leading possession gatherers so far. Young for St Kilda 5 kicks and 1 handball, and for North Melbourne McKernan 4 and 1. Carey's had 4 kicks with 2 marks. Schwass has had 4 kicks. Boundary throw in the right forward pocket for St Kilda. Daniels the good tackle. Rock a hand pass to Scott. Scott across the goal front. Gee, that doesn't pay off really.
If you're going to go wide, go extremely wide. Not from one forward pocket to the other forward pocket. It really was a pretty poor piece of play. If you're going to go across goal, you really, and we see here, Scott, it was pretty much a blind, hurried kick, and
didn't look, did it?
It's a 50-50 kick, and as happens if St Kilda mark it, they've got a very easy shot at goal.
Well, Joel Smith just has to capitalise here, and his shot for goal is good. So Joel Smith kicks his first goal and St Kilda's first goal, but North lead 2-5 to 1-1.
Well, I think St Kilda needed what you would call a little bit of luck or poor play by North Melbourne. They really had trouble getting that scoreboard ticking, and they've really got what you would call a lucky goal. They certainly didn't earn it. Although maybe Joel Smith just read the play a little bit better, but nevertheless gets the scoreboard ticking, and it's really important to get that first goal to get the morale up and running.
North Melbourne lead by 10 points. McKernan, a beautiful tap into the path of Burke. Just can't quite get hold of it. Everett comes through and taps it out. Rinmar having trouble on the slippery ground. Now socket off the ground by Blakey. Players race there. Neil tries to tap it back and goes to ground. Falls to Rock, to Stevens. And once again, players just having enormous trouble. And then some pretty smart work on the boundary line then by Keogh to knock it out of Stevens' hands and out of bounds.
The more possessions you have on a night like this, the greater chance you've got of making a blue, haven't you?
Yeah, I just thought that once Rock had he was going towards goal, he just may as well kick it. I mean, it is, you're right, in another possession. Crocker caught, so's Rock. And
situation we mentioned earlier that Scott's picking up Burke, and Burke's been put in as a permanent forward for St Kilda. It's a very strange reaction. I would have thought you need Burke up in the midfield no matter who his opponent is.
Amazingly, Scott's probably contributed to that first St Kilda goal lead.
Yeah, well, maybe they're trying to get Scott into defence.
Yes. Roberts' kick, grubbery. Oh, fantastic smother then from Crocker on Keogh. The ball comes forward. Falls to Cripps again, kicks the ball forward. One-on-one contest down in the goal square. Vidovic and Fairley. Fairley does a sensible thing, goes off the ground, and Lee goes very wide with it.
Yes, I don't know whether Robert Scott or any other North Melbourne player will be going back across goal under pressure from this point onwards.
He's been a credit to himself, Ian Fairley. 209 AFL games, the statistic just shown on the screen. Knocked forward by Vidovic. Roberts off the ground to centre-half back. Well gathered there by Bell. Hand pass to Roberts. Roberts kicks it out wide, but not far enough because Beveridge is out there on his own, basically. He can't quite get past, but the kick, fortunately for St Kilda, lands with Everett. Now, Everett is right on the forward end of the square, not quite up to centre-half forward. He'll land the ball within scoring distance. Can the Saints take a mark? Low, it went through him. Daniels and Archer back to Lowe. Good kick by the big fellow, but a good mark taken by Scott. Gee, persists across the face of goal again.
I'll take that back. He's not going to do it again.
Schwass is marked right in the square. Wayne Schwass for North Melbourne. Brilliant player. Oh, a little fortunate, but he does it well in the finish. It wasn't a bad sting then in the finish by Schwass. His kick into the middle, gathered by Bell again, gets it to Stevens. Stevens from the middle of the ground.
To Scholl. Scholl falls over and the fist comes and was good. And just at the end, they probably went in direct. As down the other end, Bardsley comes onto the ground for Vidovic, so they've gone small for big. And interesting now, the matchups at the back end. Boundary throw-in to Bell. Throws it quickly onto the boot, goes forward. Stevens runs under the path, so does Winmar. Both players end up over the footy. Shanahan in there, knocks the ball towards the boundary line. Neil first there, covers, swings the ball back around. One-on-one contest here, punched away by Anderson. Ball goes through the back of players on centre wing. Fantastic tackle by Fairley. Burke's kick smothered. Some pretty good tight work from all players there, and once again Bell sees it out. There's Peter Bell. Played a couple of games with Fremantle. But we're just under 5 minutes. North lead by 10 points. Lowy does the ruck work. Burke sockers off the ground. Gets 40 metres. That's good. Cripps got an interesting first quarter. Spins out of the swash, bump and tackle. There's a free kick down ground being held onto after. So this free kick will go to Bardsley just on the ground. North Melbourne fans not happy. St Kilda ecstatic.
Haven't seen a lot of Jason Cripps, but that was a really good bit of play, wasn't he? Tacked the ball hard and took possession, bounced off the North Melbourne tackler, and the quick kick forward. Sometimes it's all you can do. And importantly, the St Kilda player was playing in front, although it was very much an off-the-ball free kick, wasn't it? Much forward of the play.
Yes. Christian Bardsley got a reprieve when Robert Harvey pulled out before the game. Kicks from 30 metres. The ball's trying to swing back. People behind the ground, behind the goals, are pretty happy. Yes, St Kilda got their second.
Just started to scrub the ball out a little bit better, St Kilda. I think the last 5 minutes, the early part of the game, North really had all the play, but with that one lucky goal that Smith kicked from that kick across goal, it got the ball running. I think they've just in general play around the ground, started to get their hands on the ball. Well, St Kilda to even it up.
2-5 North Melbourne, St Kilda 2-1. Umpire throwing it in the air. Anthony Stevens tries to just hack it out of mid-air. Mark Stevens gets it back to Anthony Stevens. He's grabbed, but the umpire calls play on. Burke, the kick didn't go all that far. McKernan, little kick off the ground. Into the path there of Schwass. Another little knock forward for Anderson. Anderson back to McKernan. Well done. McKernan just steadies and kicks well towards full forward. At the back, Anthony Rock, chance to get his second goal. Snapshot with his left. It will be marked by Carey.
Was that a snapshot or was it a setter? I wonder. I'm not so sure.
Well, it would have been quite a miraculous goal if he'd been able to slot it through from this angle with his left foot.
I've got a feeling he actually tried to pull it out in front of the goal.
So it has worked. Carey's got the football, just trying to dry it down a little bit on his jumper. On a 45-degree angle, just 15 metres out, he kicks into the man of the mark. Asked the question of umpire Brian Sheehan, did the St Kilda player creep over the mark? No, says Brian Sheehan, and the boundary umpire will throw it in.
Oh, Wayne Carey's not very happy. Brian Sheehan was certain that it wasn't, but it's called the unforgivable sin of footy, isn't it? Kicking into a man on the mark. Bell just charges through, and Burke's happy to see it over the line. Oh, you don't see that very often, do you? There's Aussie Jones, just went for a run along the boundary line. I thought he'd been in pretty good form, but perhaps with these heavy conditions, he might be the mystery player at the end. And here's a free kick going to Shanahan, so Wayne Carey has a dirty 30 seconds or so.
That wouldn't because he blew against the umpiring decision before, would it?
No, I'd hope not. Very experienced umpire. Kicks out wide. In front King, that's nearly a mark. Anderson picks up the crumbs, swings the ball back in centre-half forward area. Carey held really, Scholl caught, Shanahan off the ground. Oh, Keogh gets in underneath, and that is probably a ball up. Probably a high tackle, but probably didn't do enough to get rid of it. But Keogh, ferocious in his attack on the footy then, and really didn't deserve to be penalised. Everett taps it out to Crocker, squeezes the kick forward. Scholl runs at it. Young, he's done pretty well in this first quarter. Swings round onto his left side, showing skills on both sides. There's a nest of North Melbourne players here. Rock just doesn't quite kick it enough. 10-metre kicks in these conditions. Anderson kicks it. Stevens caught behind. Wakeland in front. Scott caught. Hectic piece of play here at centre-half forward. Ball not going anywhere. Now it starts to come out. Young stands his ground and kicks it very high.
He's done well, hasn't he, Matthew Young? About 8 possessions already in the first term, but they've been fairly good quality possessions. Well done by Daniels. Forced forward by McKernan. Everett is there. The big man stands his ground and then kicks it back towards the wing. Mickey Martin and Stuart Lowe. Martin just throws it on his left foot, goes nowhere. Rebounds back in the direction of Anthony Stevens. Underneath all that is Tony Brown for St Kilda, and the umpire will throw it in the air. It's on centre wing. North Melbourne lead 2-5 to 2-1, a 4-point game, close to quarter time. Martin doing the ruck work. It spills to Schwass. Handball in the path of Stevens. Good stuff by Everett. Terrific stuff by the St Kilda half-back line. They're standing up quite manfully. Brown and Beveridge combined. Beveridge is kicked towards half-forward. It's belted back towards the wing. The more mobile Winmar chips in front of Lowe. His left foot kick towards half-forward is well done. The mark taken by Bardsley. Interesting match-up there. Bardsley short and jumping and getting around. Archer maybe a little taller. We'll watch that with a bit of interest. The kick towards full forward taken by Jason Daniels. Snapshot by Daniels may have put St Kilda in front. So after trailing early in this quarter, they've now kicked the last 3 goals and they lead 3-1 to 2-5.
I suppose I don't like to be cynical, but Jason Daniels has probably got a better chance when he's actually kicking over his right shoulder. He's basically got a crooked kicking action, and being able to hook it around, he's actually scored. Kicking straight, that's something he doesn't do quite as well often. Been a very good patch this last 10 minutes by St Kilda. They've really lifted the tempo and are really getting in hard, and I think they're just winning the ball out of the patch a little better.
Yes, amazingly, St Kilda lead by 2 points, and we're down to just under half a minute remaining of this first quarter. Ball breaks to King, goes straight back down the middle of the ground. Simpson's there on the ground, on for Scholl. Crocker tries to go off the ground, hands and knees, gets after it, and there is Simpson. So the last 20 seconds, and a goal here would be crucial for North's chances. And as you said, Lee, they really did just force it from defence to forward line. Then didn't they? That took them about 4 or 5 minutes. Everett and Carey tap down. Young on the ground. Simpson off the ground's kicked the goal. So North do get one right at the death. Their third. Simpson just on the ground, as we mentioned, with Scholl coming off. And that soccer goal was just great.
And those sort of goals from those half opportunities are going to be so important. As the ball gets slippery late in a quarter, it's going to be hard to mark the ball to set up the play. And just that really intelligent soccer off the ground by Simpson found the gap, kicked the goal, and a pretty important one for North.
Back in the centre. Running hard at its Rock. Really only got seconds to do something here. Mark needed. Can't get it hold. Falls to Scott, and there is the siren to end quarter time. 3-5 North, St Kilda 3-1 in what was a pretty entertaining quarter. Just a 4-point margin, but very, very tough conditions for the players' league.
Just thinking, Stuart Lowe, who we just saw in pitch, I mean, he's the marking focal point for St Kilda. Some players are the marking players who are able to mark a wet ball better than others, and Stuart Lowe tends to mark the ball with the straight arms, and that kind of makes it more difficult to mark a slippery ball. I'm just trying to think back whether Stewie is a player who's able to mark a wet, slippery ball or not. I haven't really got a strong mental picture of it.
No, look, I think you're right with that. Just flat hands, I suppose, and 2 grabs. But at quarter time, North Melbourne 3-5 leads St Kilda 3-1. But it's still a bit wet down there, mate.
Certainly is, Melbourne. It's starting to rain again. But both coaches are very hard on their players about team tactics. As you know, in conditions like this, Stanhouse told his players to stay with the men they've been picked to, and a couple of times some of the North Melbourne boys got away. And interesting to know that Stewie Lowe was playing a centre-half forward and not a full forward.
Right, back in the centre, start of the second quarter. McKernan goes early. Vidovic gets his hand on it, falls to a pack of players, and Brian Sheehan, umpire, calls for a bounce.
Gee, if it keeps raining, what's this ground going to be like on Sunday?
Yes, it's going to get some footy, isn't it? McKernan taps it on. Blakey will go off the ground here. No, he doesn't. He goes to pick it up. Burke puts a tackle on him, and the kick just wobbles forward to Crocker. So Crocker just kicking from outside 50, right half forward. Kicks in. Pack of players. Carey, Shanahan punches from in front. Burke does also. Hits the 50-metre line. Races Laidley. Comes with Brown. Under enormous pressure, and the players see it over the line for another boundary throw-in.
He's a mighty little midget, Nathan Burke, isn't he? I mean, he's just a great leader, and appropriately named as a co-captain of St Kilda at the start of the year.
Yes, we just saw Matthew Armstrong on there. They've used him off the bench a bit, just for that power through the midfield later in the game. There he is, just looking pensively at the game. Vidovic hits it down towards the boundary line. Scholl back on the ground. Slides the ball over.
Well, North Melbourne kicked the first 2 goals of the game. St Kilda answered with 3, and then fortuitously for the Kangaroos, Adam Simpson off the ground in the last 15 or 16 seconds of the first term has got the lead back for the Kangaroos. It's just a 4-point margin. Anthony Stevens dragged to the ground by Keogh. Was he held on to too long? It looks as though it may be the decision. And Anthony Stevens has the free kick for North Melbourne. Free kicks, nothing much in it. The kick towards full forward. Carey out in front, couldn't take the mark. Punched away defensively. And a boundary throw-in will take place. Carey for the Kangaroos, 3 marks and 5 kicks. Matthew Young for St Kilda has had 7 kicks and 2 hand passes. He's the leading possession gatherer at this stage. McKernan and Vidovic. Vidovic with the height advantage, which was mentioned pre-match. Kick forward by Shanahan. Lands close to the wing, gathered by Archer. Little kick by Archer, nearly marked out there by Simpson. Wakeland dragged to the ground. Good play by Simpson. Second effort was excellent. Bell beaten for it by Vidovic. Kick off the ground. This is Anderson. Burke well tackled. Terrific tackle provided. That may have been Archer again. And still at half forward for North Melbourne. This is Scott. His left foot slap at it. Lands with Carey. That could have nearly been deemed as a throw. Has it? Yes, it has. And it will go to St Kilda to be taken at half back by Jamie Shanahan.
Goes short to Vidovic. The switch play here, St Kilda. Haven't been able to do this many times tonight. The weather's been against that. Peckett runs his full measure, then kicks to the point of the square. The 2 big fellas up. Can't get hold of it. Roberts reads the ball off hands, kicks out wide, and Matthew Young kicks it out on the floor as the ball hits his boot as it bounced low down. Scholl wants to get it on quickly. Had a player loose. Can't find that player. It was Bell. St Kilda should mop this up. Winmar back to support. Goes across ground. Talked about that, Lee Matthews has a couple of times. They're switching play back the other side now. Now he goes out very wide. Bardsley leads in the race to the ball. Attempts to Smocker. Then decides second thoughts is better and taps it out of bounds.
Just watching Winmar there as he had a second crack at it at centre-half back. Kicking across the player who came in to try and block the kick. He has recovered quite well, but I think he'd still be a little bit ginger about that left knee injury that he suffered earlier in the year.
There's a free kick being picked out here. It's going to McKernan. No. Vidovic's not happy. He's not happy about getting a free kick. Well, no one knew what was going on then. They both peeled off to get the free kick. He gives it off to Anderson, and Anderson can run.
Anderson's kicking towards centre-half forward. Low. Punched away again by Martin. He's doing a pretty good job on the big guy. Fairley's kick back in towards the centre of the ground. No one home for North Melbourne, and Winmar takes a safe chest mark. He plays on quickly. Kicks across the ground. Knocked away there by Laidley from Tony Brown. Laidley crook on the umpire, but it may have been deemed as a free kick in the finish. Brown kicks St Kilda inside their 50-metre line. Mark Roberts out in front. Good little tap to the back. Beveridge Schwass out on the full. No, it was it touched off the boot.
Is that a bump ball? It looked like he kicked the ball into the ground and then it bounced out of bounds. I wasn't quite sure what he did. Yeah, bump ball.
Well, fair enough. He obviously knew what he was doing. Low. Now, a little kick by Carey, not all that far. Underneath Keogh is the football. Kick forward by Shanahan, but just trundles over. And Mark Roberts in a bit of strife here. He looks as though he's got a crook leg there, and he'll be on the interchange bench quickly. Dipper?
Yes, unfortunately for Mark Roberts, he's put a hamstring.
No, that is bad news. Armstrong coming on. North still by 4 points. That's what they led at quarter time. They're working hard in defence here. The ball comes back into the centre. Archer can't quite get hold of it. Coughlin stands up, tries to kick it. Scott goes off the ground. Fortuitously falls back to Anthony Stevens. He just whacks it onto the boot. Vacant space. It won't go out. First there will be McKernan. Neil comes at him now. Slips over. Neil's got him caught. Hangs onto him a bit long. Ball belted forward. And once again out of bounds.
Well, some of these players are playing Russian roulette in defence. I mean, under pressure and kicking blind and kicking it back into the centre corridor. It's really going against it. It's okay to change direction, but you've got to know that you're clear and got a free teammate to do it.
Yes, so boundary throwing. McKernan, that's a free kick surely in front. And the Northerners are happy. That's their fourth free kick. St Kilda have 7. So that squared it up. One on the other side, one on this side. So the rucking infringements are gone 50-50. Centre half forward. Big leap from Carey. Oh, that's a sign of a quality player. No one else has done that tonight yet. And Wayne Carey's grabbed one.
It's the first time, isn't it, really? The ball has gone high and a player's been able to leap into a pack and hold on to the ball.
Darren Crocker might have helped him on his way, but he just needs... this is where Dipper was talking about some of this grass that's been planted. It's not bad. If he can just run out a bit, now he has. So he's got reasonable footing. Oh, he's got great purchase on it. What a kick from Carey. His 350th career goal. And Wayne Carey puts the Northerners 10 points in front.
Makes enormous difference, isn't it, when a player can jump up and take a mark in the pack around centre half forward, then go back and kick a 50-metre goal. It's be struggling to do that late in the quarter, I would think, as the ball gets a bit heavier. But we've only played 7 minutes, and the ball's still fairly light, and he was able to kick it well.
So it's back to a 10-point advantage for North Melbourne. Stevens swoops on the loose ball, kicks it towards half forward. Well done. Carey just a little too strong there for Darryl Wakeland. Tries to get hold of the torpedo punt kick. It bounces at the front of the players. At the back, McKernan quite simply gets North Melbourne's 5th goal. So a bad error by the St Kilda defence allows McKernan in, and he gets North Melbourne's 5th goal. They lead 5-5 to 3-1.
I think 2 parts of that. Twice McKernan has marked the ball around the centre half forward position, not out wide, but in the centre corridor. And when you kick it in quick, well, it hits the ground. It could go anywhere. And McKernan, as we know, he plays ruck and pushes into the forward line. And it's very tough when a guy like Lazar Vidovic is playing as a defender on McKernan. McKernan's mobility becomes a key factor.
Back in the centre, Vidovic knocks it forward. Overrun by players there. Stevens, Burke goes in underneath courageously, kicks it back to the top of the square. Everett just thumps it forward, goes 20 metres. Schwash stands. Now has a bit of time to deliver it. He's really put it in an awkward spot. Lately does well because 3 St Kilda players went at him, and the ball bouncing towards the line and over before Burke can get it. I've just been handed a message, Ian, that there's only 500 car spots available at the MCG tomorrow because of the wet conditions. That's happened very quickly, hasn't it? Melbourne's had a lot of rain this week.
My word.
And obviously with what's happened tonight, more rain tonight. So for all those coming tomorrow, get onto public transport. Only 500 available at the MCG tomorrow.
Well, it's always the best idea, isn't it, at the MCG? North Melbourne got the ball at half forward. McKernan, his hand pass, Rock, back to Bell. Bell across his left shoulder, well directed to full forward. Knocked to the ground by Scholl. Robert Neal under a little bit of pressure now. Little left foot kick, not badly weighted there for Winmar. Blakey quickly onto Winmar. The ball on the wing now. Daniels hand pass, misses Winmar. Blakey knocks it forward again. Still a contest. Kicked away there by Wakeland from Matthew Armstrong. And we'll have a throw in between wing and right half forward favouring North Melbourne. Big Peter Everett directing traffic. 16 points is the margin in favour of North Melbourne halfway through the second term. Blakey up over the top. It must have been interference, surely. And Everett will take the free kick at left half back.
Goes short. Keogh's kick is touched there by Simpson.
Interesting in that ruck contest. Everett is now the ruckman. He was on the half-back flank during the ruck contest. McKernan was on his own about 30 metres from goal. If North get the ball, free forward.
Mark Roberts, Dipper, how is he?
Just an update on Mark Roberts. He won't be back on the ground, Malcolm. He has done his hamstring and they've strapped him up for the night.
Yes, it is bad luck. Key player for North. Winmar and Blakey go at it again. In underneath Crocker. The ball spills out of that. Players come in very hard indeed. Armstrong on the ground. Really worked very hard there, holding his head. And a discoloured head is at that. Blue and white are the sign. The centenary season. Brian Sheehan throws it up. Carey stands his ground in front, tries to throw a boot at it. Now Armstrong, angry in front. McKernan just taps it forward. Terrific stuff here by North. Anderson does well to kick it across the ground. Running onto it, Laidley. Laidley from 30 metres out has kicked another one for North. There's 6. So they really get a nice little break here now, and danger times for St Kilda.
And it's forward football in the wet conditions, and that's what North Melbourne were doing. Just forcing the ball forward, hitting it back into the centre corridor, just keeping the ball moving, and eventually Laidley was able to run onto the ball. I think a key point also was that Everett was back on McKernan's, and there was no ruckman or anyone of any size around that ruck contest.
And Dean Laidley kicked that goal from the bowling green that Dipper was talking about, one of the fresh pieces of turf that's been laid here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Everett takes it from Neil, but Laidley robs it from Everett. Laidley kicks it forward to centre half forward. Now a good contest here. The ball kicked away. Rock and Peckett. Scholl back onto his left foot. Kicks across his right shoulder and does it well in towards full forward. It's punched away by the St Kilda defender Shanahan, and the boundary umpire will throw it in. So Stan Alves, Gary Colling in the foreground. Great player with St Kilda over many, many games, Gary Colling. But Stan Alves with some concerns because North Melbourne have kicked away to a handy lead. They're 6-5. St Kilda are 3-1. The Saints haven't added to their quarter-time score at this stage. And we're more than halfway through the second term. Free kick against McKernan to be taken by Everett. He's prepared to play on. Handballs across the goal face there to Beveridge. Beveridge's kick out towards half-back. Daniels nearly takes the mark. Bell gets away and then looks rather bemusedly back at the umpire, but the free kick is with Daniels. He gets the hand pass to Beveridge. Back to Daniels, and the Saints go into attack.
Kicks it up high. Martin has to go back into the pack. So Lowe rows it and almost picks it up first grab. Can't get hold of it. And Bardsley just toe taps it towards the boundary line and out. Christian Bardsley got a goal in that first quarter. Running there with Stuart Anderson. Ozzie Jones. And yes, he'll certainly add some nip. He's really a terrific little player. North by 22 points. Just under 12 minutes remaining of this second quarter. Martin up for the ruck work. Coglan stands his ground. Stevens puts the tackle on. King just swings it forward and straight to the Coca-Cola sign.
They're really trying very hard, North Melbourne, to get the numbers back into defence in a very open forward. At the moment, they've pushed Carey up the ground, and basically McKernan is playing as the only tall forward across half forward for North, and Everett is being forced to play as a defender as his opponent.
Gee, Peckett came off the ground to be replaced by Ozzie Jones and looks as though he maybe have a crook arm or a crook shoulder.
Yes, Keogh got that kick forward and comes back to him and has been given the free kick for a high tackle. Justin Peckett off holding his arm, Dipper.
Yes, Malcolm, I'll give you the physio report here. Sternoclavicular. Unfortunately, he'll be off the ground for the rest of the night.
Excellent. Lee will explain what that means to us in a minute. Stuart Lowe marks on the boundary line, or a free kick. It's out on the full, in fact. So Stewie Lowe will pump this ball back in for the St Kilda. High ball. Big pack of players. Carey with a great fist from behind. Bell chips it to Martin. So Martin can relieve some pressure here. Goes to centre wing.
And he kicks it straight to St Kilda. Shanahan. Don't think Crocker would be very happy with that. Shanahan's kicking towards half forward. Aussie Jones is into the fray already. He's kicking towards centre half forward. He's marked by McKernan for the Kangaroos. Very large presence on a football ground now has Corey McKernan. His kick wide has been marked by Scholl. Scholl's kick along the wing, taken by Bardsley and kicked back towards centre half forward, hurriedly. So not a lot of real meaning to it. Anthony Stevens kicks it off the ground. This is a bit of luck for North Melbourne here. Armstrong's handball over the top. Rock. He's got a player running in support, but he's going to kick it long and high in towards Carey. Was he held there by Wakelin? He was. And the umpire was in a fantastic position, only 5 or 6 metres away. And unfortunately there for Daryl Wakelin, he's given away the free kick to the North Melbourne captain.
An interesting play that. Anthony Rock had the ball maybe 55 metres out. He had Ian fairly in front of him, but he chose not to use him and really positioned the kick so that Carey was between the ball and Wakelin. And as Carey does push back into Wakelin, Wakelin fell for the trap of trying to establish contact and was rightly free kicked.
And talking about Wakelin, his brother Shane is limbering up on the boundary line, so he may have a run before half-time. Carey to shoot for goal, only 20 metres out, very slight angle, and quite simply kicks his second goal. So Carey's second goal, bit of a bumping and shoving match, but Carey will have the last laugh because North Melbourne now leads 7-5 to 3-1.
Yes, and whenever the two big guns, Carey and McKernan, are playing well, North are going to be near their best, and Carey's doing well. 8 kicks, 5 marks in wet conditions, couple of goals. McKernan's had 8 kicks, 2 handballs, 3 marks, and keep knocking the ball forward, North. Good wet weather football.
There's 4 goals to 0 this quarter by North Melbourne. And they really have pushed that out. The two Wakelin swapped, so Darrell and Shane to the swap row. Coughlin now playing centre half back. Kernan does very well out of ruck. He's a great quick kicker of the footy to Armstrong. Wanted some support, then decided to go alone. Tried to hook the ball back. Carey, you would think, would have given away the free kick for a high tackle, but not paid. And reminding Coughlin,
he's got an amazing agility, McKernan. I mean, he's up there
with
with
a free kick away now.
Yeah, so young Coughlin's just fallen for that, hasn't he? Carey's actually been quite vociferous to him, towards him.
Don't you think a smart thing by the umpire would be to just go in and have a talk to both of them and say, look, get on with the footy?
I must say, I didn't
see
what happened.
Is this a genuine free kick?
Let's see what happened.
And he'll come in.
I mean, what do you honestly think that's a free kick?
Well, in the letter of the law, it's more than 5 metres off the footy, so you can't do it. So legally, that's right, but it is a bit
sensible
silly.
Umpiring would be to go and tick them off, wouldn't it?
Sure. Carey kicks from 40 and has hooked that one. St Kilda supporters very happy. Just to point results.
I think the smart thing by Wayne Carey too is he saw the bump coming, buckled the knees, went to ground, and you're always going to get a free kick when that happens. Inevitably, the umpires will free kick that happen.
Here it is, just looking for a different
Carey
line.
just goes to ground.
Yeah.
It draws the free kick. Good play.
He probably really hasn't hurt him because he missed the goal, has he?
Yeah.
But got to be careful about all that. I mean, you've got to play footy too, don't you? Joel Smith did very well in a tight situation. Gave it off to Bardsley. Kick forward. Daniels behind King. Good enough to recover and then handle straight to the boundary line. So lost 10 metres for the Saints.
We mentioned before, though, about McKernan, that not only does he do the ruck work in the centre bounces, he quite often clears it himself. He's up in the top handful of centre bounce clearances in the competition, which is amazing.
Yes, Justin Pickett had a shoulder injury early in the year, came back for the Collingwood game, so he looks as though he might have redone that shoulder. The ball bouncing on 50-metre line. McKernan gives it up to Bardsley. Just really swings it round, and Scholl takes a very courageous mark coming back.
Yes, well done by Craig Scholl. He moves it on quickly too. Kicks it high in towards half forward. Terrific mark taken by McKernan. That was an exclamation mark by Malcolm Blunt, because I think you thought it was pretty good, didn't you?
Oh, there was a lot of hands up at this ball, wasn't there, really? And it's just a great art to keep your eye on the ball in mid-air, and there's blokes going everywhere, but McKernan never took his eyes off the ball and clamp into those big hands.
It's amazing. It was like a pack of cards, the pack, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and it just all went. and he threw out his hands.
Now, is this all legitimate? Are you allowed to get the towel and dry the football?
Take the right
Outside
glove
eight?
off.
I don't reckon you should be, to be honest.
Okay, well, we might get a chance to discuss that later. This is McKernan. He will get the distance. He's only 45 metres out, closer than that, 35. Good kick. The goal umpire doesn't move. Goal to McKernan. Corey McKernan kicks his second goal, along with Carey, who has kicked 2. North Melbourne 8-6 to 3-1. They've kicked 5-1 to nothing in this second term.
Well, he's a problem for them, McKernan. I mean, this was a terrific mark, and in that key spot within kicking distance of goal, Vidovic's off the ground. Everett's now up on the ground onto McKernan, and he's providing enormous problems for St Kilda.
Yes, the two big guns, McKernan and Carey, firing in front. A couple of goals apiece. Here's Carey again. Spins around. Goes on his right foot. The ball will bounce. It'll be wide and bounces just through for another behind. So Wayne Carey's in fact got 2-3, plus a kick that was smothered off the mark from about 20 metres out. So he certainly has been busy. He's had 10 kicks and 5 marks, and McKernan, similar stats. Terrific stuff.
Kick in has been marked by Joel Smith. He's just outside 50 metres. His kick will land close to the wing. Martin knocks it forward. Tony Brown just held up there by Armstrong. Daniels can't force it forward, and it'll be thrown in on the defensive side of centre wing, favouring North Melbourne. Martin on low, and Tony Brown looks as though he may have a bit of a wrist problem there from that clash. The ruckman to go at it, Everett and McKernan. McKernan to the back, rocks, kick quickly to half forward. A great struggle there between Coughlin and Carey. Kick forward by Neal. It'll bounce, and Wakeland gathers it well. Gets it to Cripps. Cripps' kick to the goal square. The players back there, Beveridge tries to just hold it up. Has he been held by Laidley? He has. And Beveridge will take the free kick for St Kilda. So it's the Saints' first chance of a score, and we've got 7 minutes left in the second term.
And the setup came from Cripps again. It was Wakeland who gave the quick hand pass to Cripps, who really took a really hot ball, first touch, and the quick kick forward.
Absolutely no free kick either. Beveridge did that pretty smart.
Just kept pushing back into it.
So Beveridge with the football. He's only 10 metres out, slight angle, and kicks the goal for the Saints. Luke Beveridge kicks his first. St Kilda's goal kickers are all singles. Joel Smith, Christian Bardsley, Beveridge and Jason Daniels.
But that art of playing for and drawing the free kick, that if you're in the front position and you really push back hard, that's in fact Beveridge has initiated the contact, but the umpire doesn't really know that, and if you push back hard enough, it appears as if the player behind is in fact holding.
Yes, amazing, amazing free kick. Back in the centre. 5-goal margin now to the Kangaroos. Stevens gets the ball forward. Shanahan now playing on Crocker. Misses with the soccer. Rock goes to ground, but gives it up by hitting it back towards Berg. He also goes to ground. Players very tight. Ball slippery. Tapped out again. Coming in underneath at Armstrong and a baller. It's amazing how many times would you think in these conditions that arguably two of the biggest players, Carey and McKernan, would both be the leading kick getters on the ground by a long way.
Yep. Well, it's generally the skill that comes to the top, isn't it, in the wet conditions?
Yeah, I've always thought that. Some people say that's not quite right, but I tend to think that good ball players find it a bit better. Stevens goes off the ground with a soccer and doesn't miss by all that much. He really did hit that ball nicely as it set up for him. And just a point results for North.
Yeah, I suspect it's just a question of McKernan and Carey's quality. I suspect in dry conditions they'd be dominating the game even more.
Fair point.
It's Matthew Young to kick it back in for St Kilda. They'd need another goal before half-time, you would think, the Saints, if they'd have any chance. But the big arms of Corey McKernan have plucked this ball out of the air 50 metres from goal. We saw Wayne Carey kick a goal from a similar distance out. And I think this guy is a magnificent kicker of the football too. Have a look at this. It is a magnificent kick. That's a thumping kick. 3 goals to McKernan. And the presence of Corey McKernan certainly having a tremendous impact on this game. North lead 9-8 to 4-1.
I think thumping was the correct word for that one, and really kicking the ball near McKernan, jumped in the ball. That was a good mark, but the kick was a thumping kick. He didn't really time it that well. It didn't spin that well. It was almost just the big in-swinger, but it just found its way through from a long way out.
Here's Corey McKernan now with 3 goals. Daniels goes off the ground, and King takes the mark on his chest. Gives it off to Laidley. He wants to come wide because the lead's been made, and that's good to Armstrong. Oh, Matthew Armstrong between wing and half back. Now comes around the centre. That is a thumping kick too. That has gone a long way. Carey almost with a second attempt. On his hands and knees, gives it off to Stevens. Throws the ball forward, and sitting underneath it, Young can't get hold of it. Schwash is there to lay a tackle. And so the ball about 35 metres from North Melbourne's goal. And Matthew Young there, last to get up. Here comes the man, it's McKernan. Taps it back. Young caught. Players try and go off the ground. Falls to Armstrong. Has a player in the square in Carey. And Carey kicks his third for the quarter. So the double act continues with Wayne Carey 3 goals, Corey McKernan 3 goals. They've kicked 7 goals in this quarter. Dean Laidley was the other goal kicker, and Lee Matthews are really stretching this now.
They certainly are, and Glenn Coghlan, he's lost concentration then. Carey's just dropped off about 20 metres there. Coghlan got caught in the play, and really, I think Stan Ells and St Kilda a bit disappointed that Coghlan wasn't a fair bit closer to Carey than he was in the end.
Good unselfish and good vision there by Armstrong. Crocker on the bench for North Melbourne. Probably with 4.5 minutes left, you would think he may sit the rest of the quarter out. 10-8 to 4-1. North Melbourne now with a commanding lead. Keogh nearly dragged down, but got his kick away towards the centre-half forward position, but it'll go bouncing back. Anthony Stevens' kick only as far as Robert Neal. Aussie Jones down to Daniels. Daniels' kick in towards full forward. Martin and Lowe. Martin having probably the better of that duel. Anderson's handball falls with Lowe. Lowe's hand pass. Beveridge tries to spin out. Doesn't take the football with him. Wakeland back to Daniels. Is the advantage now? It's been deemed as a throw, has it? And the St Kilda side did have possession, but it's a North Melbourne free kick at centre-half back. It'll be taken by Ian Fairley. He goes across that half-back line. The kick sits up a little. Well gathered by Anthony Stevens. He just went out the back door and then kicked in towards centre-half forward. The mark again is taken by McKernan. Best man on the ground so far.
So far he's got his name on 3 votes already, hasn't he, really? Great 1-2 play attempted there. Didn't come off. Armstrong goes in with the body. Daniels recovers to Bardsley. Just tries to buy a little space for himself. Let the players run by him. Comes back to Stevens, starting to get some kicks in the centre of the ground. Goes back. McKernan or Scholl. McKernan did the right thing and protected his mate in front. Now kicks and goes out wide to the pocket. Bell's there. He has to recover. Caught. Taps it back to Armstrong. Kicks it forward and falls into the hands of Matthew Young.
Anthony Stevens has had 13 kicks and 1 handball.
Yes, he's really rocked them up the last 5 or 6 minutes. That's a pretty good mark in front of her, thought by Neil. It's not paid. Joel Smith kicks the ball round the corner. Aussie Jones. Anderson in hot pursuit. Has to give it away with a high handball. Archer can read it pretty well. So can Schwash. Goes back. And Daniels almost can't get hold of it. Scrappy piece of play here on centre wing. Anderson now also has to kick round the corner. So the ball's high. Hard to mark. Coming out at Archer. Surely paid. Terrific mark.
Well, he's been out of it a little bit because the football's been mainly up on the North Melbourne half-forward line. His short kick has been marked very well by Robert Scott. Scott, the player on the mark, is about 55 metres from goal. He's forced to duck back onto his right foot. He's kicked towards full forward. McKernan. This is Young for St Kilda, running away from the half-back line. He's kick into the middle. Oh, very well done by Anthony Stevens. Made that ball look as though it was dry. Hand pass away to Anderson. Anderson's kicking towards centre-half forward. No mark. The ball spills to the front of the pack. It's kicked away wide by Bardsley for Daniels. Back to Young. Young's kick along the line has been well marked by Brown. Brown for St Kilda. 2 minutes left in the second term. He plays on from right half back. His kick will land close to the wing. It spills to the back. Well read there by Wayne Schwass. Gets back. quite cleanly in the finish and then kicks it to the centre, where Stevens, who is absolutely dominating the last 5 or 6 minutes, kicks towards half forward. No mark taken. The ball there to be won. It is Tony Brown, his hand pass. Daniels leaves it for his fellow redhead in Young. Young's kick will be marked by Shanahan. He's prepared to play on.
Comes out wide. It's a player in support there. That's Cripps. It's Joel Smith, actually, on his left foot. Chips the ball beautifully to low. Well, the first productive piece of play from St Kilda with a switch of play and a play on by Shanahan really took a hiding to nothing, as we see Smith just chip the ball into Lowe.
Yeah, Lowe was originally going back to the goal square, but read it well, and Smith had a chance to hold up the kick, and then really it was a very simple little 20-metre chest mark.
Anderson off for Crocker. Crocker back on for North.
Lowe kicks and just pulled it a little bit, but I think it's good enough just a point. And unfortunately, I saw him do this last week against the Swans when Saints really needed goals. Stewie just couldn't find the range of the goalpost.
42 points is the margin as David King kicks wide out towards the far side of the ground. No mark taken. Dean Laidley just a little frustrated there with his attempt, and it spills for a throw-in. Ozzie Jones in the picture. He hasn't been on the ground all that much. Ozzie Jones, 2 kicks and 2 handballs. The Saints desperately need a succession of goals. They've kicked just 4-2. 1-1 in this term. North Melbourne, who were 3 goals 5 at quarter time, have kicked 7 goals in this second quarter. Robert Neal. And a big pack of players. The umpire will come in and bounce. We'll throw it in the air, right half forward for St Kilda. And it's probably 2.5 kicks from their goal. So the margin was only 4 points at quarter time, and it's blown out now to, well, nearly an unassailable lead for North Melbourne, you would think. In these conditions, the siren sounds to end the second term, and it's been a good one for the Kangaroos. They'd be pretty happy. They lead 10-8 to 4-2. That's a margin of 42 points. And that man there, Wayne Carey, has kicked 3 goals, along with Corey McKernan, and they've been the keys between North Melbourne and St Kilda at this stage of the game.
Yes, they really have been far more direct. McKernan, just to say, on Everett, just not quite the right matchup, is it? Just a bit more mobile. And as Lee Matthews mentioned, his ability to get the ball out the centre for a big fellow is terrific. Dennis Pagan comes down with his match committee, pretty happy with the situation, because at half-time, North Melbourne are 10-8, 68, St Kilda 4-2, 26. Thanks, Tipper. Start of the third quarter, North Melbourne leading by 42 points. One of the men at the moment, Corey McKernan up, gets it backhanded in front of Everett. St Kilda players in first. Wakeland tries to get it out, the quick handball to Brown. It's effective in the end, and a very good use of the body there by David King from North Melbourne. Holds up that attack from the centre square, as they normally do. Tries to go back into the central corridor, and Ozzie Jones reads it better with the heavy ball. Unlike North, they go out wide. There is a player out there in Daniels, back to Brown. So it's been 3 possessions and then a 50-50 contest, which really could have been the kick, the first one to go there. Schwass goes off the ground and out of bounds. Blakey trying to keep it in. In fact, no, hasn't now. And a boundary throw in.
We mentioned that I think Wakeland is now the spare defender coming off the back of the centre square for St Kilda. And he'll pick up McKernan as McKernan comes forward. Everett will do the centre bounce ruck work, but then go to basically centre half forward for St Kilda, which I think is a better situation for St Kilda, as long as Wakeland is actually a wait to get McKernan on the way through.
Yes, it's probably got to try something, don't they?
Yeah. Well, having your ruckman as a defender on McKernan is disaster. I think it's the whole season I've watched many games and it seems to have worked out that way.
Nathan Burke, just a bit quieter tonight. Another ball up. Carey puts a tackle on Shanahan. The ball spills, so there'll be another ball up.
Probably indicative of Robert Scott has become a very good little on-ball tagger who has prevented Burke from really being an influence on the game.
Mark Roberts on the interchange bench, we believe, has pulled a hamstring quite severely and probably won't take any further part in the game. North Melbourne force it forward. It'll get close to centre half forward. Gatherers by Bell. He's been very, very busy. Anthony Stevens back to Carey. Carey off his left foot on this occasion. Gets good distance, and that is a mark. That's a certain mark. Did he play on? Well, this will be interesting because umpire Sheen is coming in. He has paid the mark.
It's interesting, he was about to play on, but is it Neil, I think, had hold of his foot, so even if he had played on, it was going to be a free kick for a trip, so either way, I suppose, Scholl had it.
Craig Scholl for his first goal, and he's put it through. So a good start for North, but a bad start for St Kilda. The first goal of the third quarter, kicked for North Melbourne by Craig Scholl. Might be trying to con one of those umpires too. I think we've got three fairly inexperienced guys in charge out there at the moment. McLaren, Ellison, Love, and the captain Wayne Carey try to just take control there. He's kicked towards the front of the goal square. Good mark. Great mark taken by Darren Crocker. He is a quality player. And it's a pity he hasn't played more football for North Melbourne. He's suffered a lot from injury.
Just held his ground under the ball, didn't he? It wasn't a very good spoiling attempt, I wouldn't have thought.
So not big in stats, but a chance to get his second goal, and he makes no mistake. Darren Crocker with 2. Carey has kicked 3. McKernan has kicked 3. And North Melbourne go marching on. They're 12-13 to 4-5.
Yeah, they're just really in control of the game all over the place. North Melbourne have kicked a few behind, so they haven't got the scoreboard absolutely ticking over that much, but just gradually drawing away.
Three-quarter time at the MCG, and North Melbourne 12-13-85 leads St Kilda 4-5-29 by a margin of 56 points. And looking at the goal kickers now, Wayne Carey with 3 and Corey McKernan. They didn't add that quarter, but they did the damage in the second. Darren Crocker 2, Shoal, Laidley, Rock and Simpson 1 apiece. And a sorry sight there for the Saints. Joel Smith, Christian Barsley, Luke Beveridge and Jason Daniels 1 each.
Today's match is part of the AFL Coca-Cola Centenary Season.
And Stan Alves talking to his players and been listening and learned anything, Tipper?
Yes, thanks very much, Malcolm. Well, Dennis Pagan's pretty quick to talk to his players and still, you know, saying a few encouragement words to him to finish off the game. Of course, percentage is very, very important, and especially when you can finish up second, third and fourth on top of the ladder. So they're looking forward for a stronger quarter this quarter. And of course, with St Kilda, they just wanted to make sure that they can finish off the game and with a bit of pride. I don't think they can obviously get back to beat them. And Jamie Love did ask me to go out for dinner because he gets an extra few dollars because he's umpired 2 umpire games tonight.
Yes, well played, Tipper. Terrific stuff. And a good friend of yours, I bet.
My word.
Mitre 10 banner winner. Ian, your favourite thing on Friday nights, 10 out of 10 for King, 34. He wins a gift voucher, which I believe, of $1,000 from Mitre 10.
I reckon that's a terrific prize, and the innovation shown by some of these people, as I said earlier, is well rewarded by Mitre 10, and it's a great gesture by that company. $1,000 is a lot of stuff you can buy at Mitre 10 for $1,000.
Certainly is. Here we go. Start of the last quarter. North lead by 56 points. McKernan thumps the ball forward, goes towards Burke. Burke now kicks the ball 20 metres out, fairly in front, can't mark it. Ends up back in his hands and gives it off to King. Great play from Fairley. King just belts the ball forward. Lobs in a very good piece of turf there, carried it ground, wants to get rid of the footy, taps it back. Aussie Jones, clever, gives it off to Anderson. And Anderson now goes 50 metres from goal, coming out players low, can't get hold of it. Archer wants support from behind, gets it from Martin, and Martin just chips it up cleverly to Wayne Schwass.
Oh, now Mickey Martin's trying his tricks. Wayne Schwass with the football, short kick, with precision finds Anderson. Anderson, a long kick, out towards the wing. McKernan tries to just nudge his player away. Brown is there. Anderson for St Kilda. Aussie Jones, love to watch him. Gets the hand pass back to another young player in the St Kilda lineup, Tony Brown. Brown runs and then kicks high towards full forward. It's punched away back there by Fairley, kicked out of mid-air by Schwass. And has the mark been paid? Gee whiz, you wonder whether that went the required distance, but it was all clear and paid to Archer. Gets it to Rock. Rock's kick down the wing. Well judged there by Blakey. Runs away from Nicky Winmar. He's kicking towards centre-half forward. No mark. The ball spills to the front. Stevens. Now this is Young for St Kilda. Left foot kick by Matthew Young, out wide. Lands near the wing, well gathered by Blakey, well tackled by Keogh, and the umpire can do nothing else but throw it in the air between wing and right half forward, slightly favouring the Kangaroos. They lead 12-13 to 4-5 early in the last quarter. No addition to the three-quarter time score as yet. Back goes Laidley, tries to tap it to the advantage there of Anthony Stevens. Now it's gathered there by young Simpson. He can't really break away, so the umpire will throw it in the air on centre wing. Darren Crocker, interested onlooker. I think North Melbourne will be hoping that he can play the rest of the season. Injury-free. Young, hand pass. Not really all that productive, that little passage of play, and the boundary umpire will throw it in once again.
Yeah, and statistically, I suppose St Kilda, if they can't win this tonight, which looks highly likely, could win their last 6 games and get 12 wins for the year. But they play Geelong at Waverley next week, so it's a pretty tough assignment for them, isn't it? So,
oh yes, I think tonight was the night that they had to win to just stay in touch. See if Richmond can happen to get over Essendon, but it put them about 3 games out of the 8.
yeah.
So it's a difficult task for them. Nathan Burke just kicks it out of the congestion, and it goes over for another throw-in. So the leading possession gatherers for the game so far, McKernan has 18 kicks, 8 marks, 4 handballs, 11 hit-outs and 3 goals. Carey 15 and 2 with 3 goals. Anthony Stevens has had 17 and 6. So all the leading possession gatherers are on the North Melbourne side of the ledger. This guy's played a pretty good game for the Saints. Matthew Young, Wakeland coming away towards full forward, but the mark has been taken by Ian Fairley. A reliable defender for North Melbourne. Gets the handball away to Schwass. Schwass running through the muddy, sticky centre. Kicks in towards centre-half forward. Does nicely, but a good mark taken back there by Coughlin. He may have hurt himself. He did fall awkwardly, but able to recover and will take his kick.
Just following up from that, actually, they played after Geelong, they played 5 sides. The last 5 games St Kilda play are all against sides currently outside the 8. So it's an interesting draw, isn't it? As Joel Smith gets it, kicks in, great kick to low, can't get hold of it. Bell reads it lovely and chips to Schwash. So between wing and half-back, Wayne Schwash favours his left side. Now goes long towards centre-half forward. Say that a lot with North Melbourne. And a very good mark in front. Sticky fingers taken by Mark Stevens. He now goes back towards the goal square. Carey and Shanahan. Shanahan gets a left fist on it, then sockers it off the ground. Comes out to Beveridge, gives the ball away as the pressure came. King misses it. And a stack of players out there. Scholl tries to hook the ball back, and Coughlin stands his ground and takes an easy mark. So defensively, St Kilda try and build again. And that lower score of 5-5 back in 58 is in jeopardy. Aussie Jones.
I wonder if they can get the message from you.
Kicks it out to Joel Smith. It's not one of those you want to really play it, is it? And McKernan pretty happy to tap it over the boundary line. And umpire Scott McLaren had a good look at it. And Corey McKernan, what a remarkable night. 18, 8 and 4.
He's got very much bigger and bigger over the last couple of years, hasn't he?
Yes, filled out lovely. And filled out naturally too. He doesn't look big, does he? And I think some players can do that. Schwash comes over the back. Just a quick kick off the ground and heads towards the boundary line. Daniels wants to keep it in. Gives Joel Smith a chance. Burke and Scott. Scott almost, nearly a courageous mark. Burke quickly recovered on the 50-metre line. Gives it out to Cripps. Scott working very hard. Played 2 very good tackles and 2 good contests. Ball comes off players' boots. Goes to Bardsley. Very slow to pick it up. Just trying to wait for the ball. And pinged, but not caught holding the footy.
Just thinking before Stuart Lowe fumbled a minute or 2 back, that pretty easy mark. That he's still got the goal-kicking yips the last few weeks. And it's funny enough, when your goal-kicking goes, the rest of the confidence in your game seems to erode as well.
Everett gets the tap down, but Daniels, bit of pressure applied. Archer kicks it away, close to the line. Aussie Jones, a very skillful player, handballs, but he may have gone over in his endeavours there, and the umpire will throw it in. Right half forward for St Kilda. It's probably 2.5 kicks from their goal, and they are still just stunted on that 4 goals 5. 12-13 North Melbourne. Bell, Bardsley. Bardsley's done pretty well. Breaks the tackle, goes for goal. Does Christian Bardsley, hooks the kick across the face. And still no further addition to the St Kilda score. Left forward pocket, boundary throw in.
Further to Stuart Lowe, Mickey Martin's kept him goals. At this point, you think Mick won't be pretty keen to keep that statistic up till the end of the game.
14 minutes left in the last quarter. Lowe doing the ruck work. Bardsley with the football, and Bell appealing maybe for a free kick, but the umpire will ball it up. Only 25, maybe only 20 metres from the St Kilda goal. So Justin Peckett just forced to look on from the interchange bench. He's got a crook shoulder, we've heard. Stuart Lowe tries to get the handball to Smith. Schwass missed it altogether. Archer just hacked it out of there. Joel Smith tackled by Archer. Still there, and Schwass prepared to just belt it towards the boundary line. And he'd be quite a relieved man, would Wayne Schwass. He's had 14 kicks and 3 handballs, and to belt that clear was good defensive work. Their last score halfway through the 3rd quarter. It's been very much a drought for St Kilda, and they're going to give a free kick away here in this ruck contest. It will be taken by Corey McKernan, and he's between back pocket and left half back.
Yes, I know Lee's giving the votes tonight. They're not going to be hard to find, Lee, I assure you.
The number 3, is it?
Wayne Carey comes on a very long lead, and with a bit of boot trouble. So we'll have a bit of time on here. And the attendance tonight, creditable crowd, 24,778. Conditions were very ordinary. At 6 o'clock it started raining in Melbourne, and it's usually the telltale sign. If you toss up and say, well, look, I'll watch at home on TV, I'll come to the ground.
It's actually remarkable how the ground dries out so quickly. It only needs to stop raining for probably an hour or so. I mean, you could see the surface water when the game began, but at the moment all that's drained through. I suppose for the weekend's games, they almost might get the roller on the centre square for a bit of luck tonight.
I'm sure that'll be right. Wayne Carey's boot is now fine, and he kicks it to a tremendous pack of players. Typical North Melbourne this. Blakey in underneath, handballers it out. Bell's been good on the ground. Back to Scholl. Scholl kicks it very high towards the forward pocket, fairly almost. Off the ground goes Jones, and straight into the arms of Matthew Armstrong. And he does have that great piece of turf to kick on. Dipper's piece. And North have kicked some very good goals from this very same spot.
Well, I've seen again players coming back inside. There was a wild kick off the ground. Aussie Jones, really, as we see here, I mean, you're going back into the attacking part of the ground. You've got to have a little bit more, play the percentages a bit better, I think, than that.
On the firmer footing now, kicks and has kicked the first goal of the last quarter. So Matthew Armstrong gets his first, and North Melbourne get their 13th.
Yeah, started on the bench. Matthew Armstrong has come on, and again, as you mentioned, Bell's been a pretty good ground level player up there, and we see here Ian Fairley, in fact, maybe for experience of times to come, McKernan is basically now going back and playing sort of defence on Everett, and Fairley's pushed into the forward line for North Melbourne.
So fairly bleak outlook there for St Kilda fans. Just 4 goals 5. North Melbourne, they kicked 7 goals 3 in the second term, and it's just been a bit of a procession since then. Umpire throws it in the air. Nathan Burke again towards half forward. Beveridge, handball. Daniels towards full foot. Lowe! Late in the game, Stuart Lowe has taken his 3rd mark, and with just his 6th kick, may kick his first goal.
He got out in front here, Stuart Lowe, but this is the first time really in this kind of marking contest, that strong mark in front of his eyes that he does so well, but we haven't seen it tonight until that particular occasion.
Very long run up. He'll kick from 40 metres, and it's an ordinary kick close to the boundary line. It's been marked inside by Archer. So the North fans would be doing all that cheering, you would think. Archer's kick back out towards the half-back line. Gatherers by Blakey. A handball leaping in the air was ill-directed, and the boundary umpire will throw it in.
We often say about goal-kicking confidence is a sort of week-to-week thing, but I would say Stuart Lowe just at this point, these few weeks, his goal-kicking confidence is back to what it was in the bad old days.
Big margin now for North Melbourne, 62 points.
Ball comes centre wing, Scholl first there. Just waits for Kerry. Now he also waits for support from Stevens. Sees a player loose, it's Fairley playing up forward. Can't find him. Cripps decides to give it a handball away, gives it to Stevens. And Stevens from 30 metres out bounces the ball, rolling and through for a goal. Mark Stevens gets his first. Jason Cripps gave it up, and North Melbourne have got their 14th.
It's taken a fair while, I would say, for Mark Stevens to join the party, really. The ball's been in the North forward line for most of the game. He has had trouble getting it, but a good tackle, really. That's what caused the pressured handball, and just missed the goal post by a smidgen.
Tried everything to hit the post, didn't it? It tried every bounce.
When you go in ordinary, everything goes against you, doesn't it? Just even the bounce of the ball. Mark Stevens able to just sneak it through. North Melbourne will get out of that centre muddy area, and it's out towards left half forward. Scholl on Tony Brown. Good tackle, dispossesses Brown. Sets it up there for Armstrong. Handball over the top. This is Freeborn. Well, can he get into the act? Chopped off by Shanahan. Handball to Aussie Jones. Aussie Jones on the defensive 50-metre line. Gets back towards the middle of the ground. His left foot kick towards half forward. Spills to the back. Fairly, and not fairly, King it is. Still lousy as that North Melbourne defence. And protecting a very, very good lead.
We actually sometimes are a bit cynical about Jason Daniels' kicking ability, but certainly I would say here Nicky Winmo have probably, particularly Daniels, has been St Kilda's best player, one would have thought, tonight.
Everett and McKernan, kick clear by Archer, just bounces inside. So the umpire busy. They've both been pretty busy, the boundary umpires tonight. Umpire Brian Sheehan has pulled up with a hamstring injury. And the emergency, Jamie Love, has been in charge for the best part of half a game now. McKernan and Everett to do the ruck work once again.
Young tries to tap it forward. Now he taps it back. Goes to Stevens. He just kicks. Neil can't mark it. Very difficult one, going back with the flight of the footy. Oh, tapped off by Fairley. Ends up with Anderson. Anderson kicks really into space. Went for the boundary umpire in the left forward pocket. Picking it up is Stevens, gives it away to Neil. They should work this out here, St Kilda. Coughlin looks a very tired player and just slams it onto the boot and eventually out of bounds. And particularly with North Melbourne's bad loss last week, they can get all that percentage back by doing what they're doing tonight. So in the final wash-up, this could be a very significant win for North Melbourne, as they now lead by 68 points. And we're down just 9 odd minutes remaining of the final term. But the two Littleys, Schwash and Burke, go for it, and a 50-50 dead heat draw.
It has changed ruck work, isn't it? There's quite a few ball-ups, boundary throw-ins where there's no ruckman or even tall player there. So I was going to say, who's the tallest player here? Let me look who's over here. Oh, now Wayne Carey, the centre-half forward, centre-half back, get over there.
Yeah, the cavalry gets here. Quick kick around. Falls into open space again. Anderson underneath it. Has to dwell. Tries to keep it under control. Well, North work this out pretty well to Blakey. Get a Scott. Put it into his back pocket. And now gives it off to Stuart Anderson. Anderson from a one-step kick has missed, and another point results for the Northerners.
Matthew Armstrong was pretty good in there with a tackle just to force the ball free. Young kicks it into the right back pocket where the mark has been taken by Coughlin. Coughlin's kick just gives it up. Blakey is marked. Blakey runs on from 50 metres. Kicks nicely too. In towards full forward. Carey. Makes it look so easy, doesn't he, Wayne Carey, with his 7th mark. He's kicked 3 goals through.
It's just judging the flight of the ball, isn't it? He just gives the slight nudge because he knows where the ball's going. The judgment just keeps Shanahan from backing back and really almost taking the mark unopposed eventually.
Just checking with the umpire off to the left there as to where the mark is. He did make a mistake earlier in the game when he had a shot for goal, kicking into the man on the mark, but not on this occasion. He kicks it straight over Shanahan's head for a goal. 4 goals for to Wayne Carey in that scoreline of 15-14, 104. St Kilda 4-5-29. 75 points is the margin.
Well, he's been the marking forward along with McKernan when he's rucked and got into the forward line. He's been able to mark the ball. Stuart Lowe down the other end. None of the other real marking forwards. Crocker's taken a couple for North Melbourne, but he takes the marks in the centre corridor, Carey, and is always shooting from fairly much central positions.
Wayne Carey, 4th goal, and big margin now by North Melbourne. And interesting, they have 13 players that have played over 100 games on the ground, and St Kilda only have 5 with Harvey being out. So there is a huge gap in experience, and really that gap's being shown up on the scoreboard. Nathan Berg, just 11 kicks and the 1 handball. Shanahan goes off the ground, and Daniels falls over his handballs back to Bardsley. Just slams it onto the boot, goes forward. Laidley can't control it. Keogh tries to work in underneath him. Aussie Jones goes off the ground and somehow or other keeps it in. Amazingly, a low percentage kick with the ball floating around in the air. And he did pretty well in the end to get the resultant boundary throw in. Lowe and Martin. Mickey, there was some talk that his form had been down a bit. I know he's been helped by the conditions tonight, but he's really been a competitor and played a very good game on Stuart Lowe. Keogh tries to burst his way through. He's caught, and another bounce will take place.
Gee, you have to admire those guys like Laidley and across that half-back line. They've just kept on resisting every attempt by St Kilda to get through, and their defence has only allowed St Kilda a scoreline of 4 goals 5.
Yes, only 9 shots kicked out of the pack. Belted on by Carey, just absolutely thumped it. Freeborn, he's a smart player, got out of all that traffic and gave it back to Archer, who finished beautifully to Rock. So centre wing, Anthony Rock, trying to move the Kangaroos forward. Has a player in the middle, and that's Stevens. Absolutely plenty of space and time. Gives it off to the running Corey McKernan. He's covered 40 metres with 3 strides, kicks long in towards the forward pocket, and knocked over.
Gee, that's a long stride.
Oh, it was unbelievable. He really did cover some ground. And coming off, I wonder with that, he really did put in some long strides then. I wonder if...
Didn't look too injured when he strode forward to receive the handball.
No, I think he'd be just having a rest, wouldn't he, surely? 6 minutes left.
Coughlin comes over the top and bounces it out. There's Ken Coughlin. Had a hard night, tough night. The whole St Kilda defence has been under siege for most of the night. And you do have to feel for Stewie Lowe nights like this, don't you? I mean, he hasn't gone to the ball a lot, and that's where, as a full forward, it's percentages of time to the ball here should be measured, not necessarily how many goals you kick. Nathan Berg just kicks it forward. Here is Dean Anderson. Is that mud or blood around his mouth there? So, big margin. And I hate to repeat it, but that lowest ever score between these two sides, between 1925 and obviously 1996, is now in jeopardy. Winmar is caught, and a bounce will take... Whoops, it's gone free kick.
Go along a little bit with Blakey there. The good tackle just forced the ball free.
I didn't think it was all that high.
Made a high tackle, but it didn't.
That wasn't high.
Have a look, it's a brilliant tackle.
Fortunate, yeah. I think Blakey thought he had him cold and a shot for goal. He was pretty keen.
No wonder he was disappointed. Winmar has the footy and kicks it out towards the wing. No mark, although Mark Stevens got a good grasp of it. Not paid. Anthony Rock's little left foot kick is pretty good. Finds Scott, shares it with Laidley. Laidley across the half-forward line. Gee, they can wax this. Whose kick is it? Craig Scholl. You can thank your captain for being unselfish there, Craig. He's kicked towards full forward. Fairley couldn't take the mark. The ball spills to the front of the square. Kicked off the ground by Cripps. Young is under a bit of pressure. He goes for the safety of the kick off the ground, but Carey is back there to gather. Just picks it up one-handed, and then, gee, rubbing salt into the wound, aren't they, the Kangaroos? Short kick finds Freeborn. Freeborn, his kick will land close to the goals for North Melbourne. At the back is Aussie Jones, not able to run away. Yes, he just sneaked past Bell. That's Freeborn again. Beautiful gather there by Stevens. Anthony Stevens kicked towards full forward fairly. This is Winmar. Doesn't look anywhere near the Nicky Winmar of the earlier on in the season and in past years. And that tackle there forces a throw-in.
Very tough when you've got a leg injury and miss maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks running to pick up the fitness quickly.
So the boundary umpire to throw it in. 15-14 to 4-5. Dipper.
Yes, so nothing too seriously, but just a precaution. I think Quinn McKernan has got a groin strain at the moment.
Yes, thanks, Dipper. Yeah, he came off. He looked a little bit sore. That kick from Carey out of that pack has landed with Scholl. And Craig Scholl kicked a goal in the third quarter. 9 goal kickers North have got on a night like tonight. They'd be happy with that. Have a look at this. Now, will he try the check side? Or will he run out and kick it on his left foot? Or he's going to try the check side. And that is a goal. Great kick. Second goal to Craig Scholl, and North Melbourne move merrily on their way. They're 15th, and sadly St Kilda with only 4.
I must say, we see those kind of kicks so regularly these days. They almost seem regulation, but I just don't think they're that easy. And in fact, he didn't go close to the man on the mark, Scholl. He kicked the ball from almost to the behind post, but really perfect kick, wasn't it?
Well, the interest left in this game will be as to whether St Kilda can kick another goal to get over their lowest ever score between these two teams. Carey has the mark. So again, just breaking clear of the centre, Anthony Stevens. He's been terrific, hasn't he, Anthony Stevens? 21 kicks and 7 handballs. Just continually getting the ball away from the muddy area. Carey shoots for goal. Lovely long kick, but he just hooks it a little bit. So 4 goals, 5 to Wayne Carey. He's been a very good player as well. He's had 20 kicks, 2 handballs, 8 marks, 4 goals, 4.
Matthew Young runs away from defence. Neal and Scholl to stand there. Wakeland there in support. Now goes long. 2 North Melbourne players go at it. Can't get hold of it. And a free kick or mark has been played to, which one? Laidley. Well, there wasn't a St Kilda player there. That's amazing. Kick to centre half forward. Got it. Picking up kicks now. Kicks forward. Oh, Carey on his left foot. Swings the ball around. Goes underground and missed. 4 goals, 6 to Wayne Carey. 10 shots at goal. Anyone's language is a pretty good day's work. Perhaps not accuracy-wise, but certainly 16-16 to 4-5. And that margin just creeps out. And just another useless... Yes, second goal. Last quarter was second quarter, 22.5 minutes. Another useless piece of information. The greatest winning margin between these two sides was 104 points, done twice in 82 and 81. And I remember them quite distinctly. Sorry, St Kilda supporters.
You're in there, were you? Somewhere. Kicked a few. 50-metre penalty here has been applied against Adam Simpson. And the play has been brought right up to the centre. So Dean Anderson with the football for St Kilda. He's kicking towards centre half forward. Still that lousy defence. Blakey gets it back. Anthony Stevens, another possession to Laidley, streaming down the ground. He kicks in towards half forward. No mark. Fairley tries to tap it on. Just couldn't quite get a good enough touch on it there. And the umpire is going to award a free kick. Looks as though it's going to Glenn Coughlin, who was on that pack, on the bottom of that pack of 3 players. St Kilda defence have had a tough job. The ball has just kept bombing down there. There's a mark to Schwass. He's had a quiet night by Wayne Schwass standards, but he's still accumulated 14 kicks and 3 hand passes and affected 4 tackles. There's a good kick of the football off that left foot in towards centre half forward. No mark. Wakeland tries to get it in the direction of Burke. It's kicked back there towards the centre by Cripps. Now the chances with North Melbourne again. Anthony Stevens, little left foot kick. Shanahan, Carey, now Aussie Jones. Just kicks it straight up in the air, but luckily for St Kilda, it lands with Young. Young out wide. Chance for Beveridge. The bounce is very unkind. King gets it back. This is Archer. close to the boundary line. Glenn Archer's kick goes close to the wing, and Scholl can't control it with Robert Neal. It spills for a throw-in.
Just over a minute to go. Craig Scholl's had a handy night. Went off early in the late in that first quarter and back on, and he's now got good stats. Mark Stevens, North Melbourne by 83 points. Schwash belts it towards the boundary line. It's a pat on the head from a teammate. Another boundary throw-in. Yes, it promised a lot this game, didn't it? Perhaps the Harvey, we talked about that, and then just that dominance of McKernan in that second quarter, along with Carey, really has just made the game fizzle out a bit. Brown kicks it high in the air. Archer goes at it to Schwash. Almost handballs it Scott. Back to Archer. Comes away, and they go bang to centre half forward again. Anderson reads it pretty well indeed. Ball caught in underneath. Falls to Carey. The skipper goes from 40 metres out, and they've got another one. His fifth.
Well, it's absolute one-way traffic, isn't it, really? I mean, what, one goal since quarter time St Kilda have kicked. They've just completely dried up the scoreboard, and inevitably North go forward, and they've just had the forwards that have looked like scoring. Carey's been good, had a lot of shots at goal. Finally kicks his fifth goal.
It was a good handball, wasn't it, by Glenn Freeborn?
Yeah.
He's only been on the ground for a short while. Been on the bench for most of the night. Mark Stevens having a run on the ball. This kick has been picked off by Winmar. Winmar's kick towards half forward. Good mark taken by Joel Smith. Wayne Schwass just a little late. But Joel Smith has the football. He's not quite up to centre half forward. He's going out wide. The pass is okay. Aussie Jones, he's not all that much closer to goal, really. But he's in a drier patch of turf. His kick will land at centre half forward. Low, Nathan Burke. And the North Melbourne fans up cheering because their side has had